Hello, Susan. This is the presentation of Hazelton case analysis prepared by Group 2, comprising of Abdul, Jizlani, Ishdeep, and Saki.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdul Basit. We are going to talk about the Hazelton case studies, and I'll be talk about the brief overview of this case, and later on I will discuss about the history of Tula. So, Hazelton, a Canadian consulting engineering firm, was an advisor on the Maralinda Ladawan Highway project. In this case presented, Hazelton was involved in a road construction project in Sorongana. The project was hired by local government highway department, the name Sorangan Highway Department SSD, for supervision, training and equipment maintenance. The time to complete the project was 5 years. However, only 17 km was rebuilt after 2 years. The company staff consists of permanent senior members and outside experts with international experience. In other words, the company would send 22 expertise over the life of the project. The Hazelton was joined with two other companies, firms named Beaver Limited and Thomas Brothers Limited. Hazelton experienced a number of problems over the life of the project, such as financial and technical problems with intercultural relationship with the central government, the political situation, and there is a lack of accountability and the gap between SST and stakeholders. We have added now we are going to talk about a little brief history of Tula province. We have added this time lapse in the presentation because it is important to understand the cultural and political history before and over the development of each project. Tula was the most isolated and religious restricted island from the rest of the country. Between 1851, here you can see, between 1851 and beginning of the 19th century, the Tulanese had enjoyed a high degree of autonomy. Afterward, in the province, there was a war. Here you can see there was a war between the Tula and the European power for 50 years. After the end of the war, Japanese took over control of Tula. After the end of the Second World War, the war were expelled and they were free from European control. In 1991, here you can see in 1991, the central government dissolved the province of the Tula status, which resulted to be an independent Islamic republic in 1993. Finally, in 2001, they got again their province status, and 2007, the central government was started giving priority to advancement of the province. So that's my part, and Steve is going to talk about problem and causes and stockholder and goals. Thank you very much.
I'm Ishdeep. I'm going to talk about the stakeholders and the goals, the problems and the causes faced by Hazelton during the highway project at Sorangan. By definition, stakeholders are defined as a group of people, committees, or organizations that directly impact the project or are affected by it. There were five major stakeholders in this case. Number one, the contracted companies. It was a joint venture between Hazelton, Beaver Limited, and Thomas Brothers Limited. Their major goal was to mutually advise the client, acting mainly as a project consultant, responsible for supervision, training, and maintenance of the equipment in order to complete the project successfully. Number two, the client or the contractor, Sorangan Highway Department initiated this project, and the major goal was to finalize this improvement project within the scheduled deadline and budget. Number three, the financial agency. Their major goal was to provide loan, the necessary funds which are required for the equipment, and grant, which is the portion paid for the salaries of the expatriates working on the project. Number four, the staff, which comprised of 22 expatriate workers, which included highway designers, engineers, mechanics, and operators. The Sorangan workers, which came from both Tolanese and Hakonese communities. Hazelton project managers, Frank Kennedy, John Anderson, and Dan Simpson, and the Sorangan project managers. The SSD employees and Hazelton employees had the goal to successfully perform the tasks assigned to them in order to successfully complete this highway project. The Hazelton and Sorangan project managements also had the additional responsibilities of managing and delegating work, knowing that were the ones to be held accountable. And last, the Sorangan people. These were the local people affected by this project. The main goal would be to be the end users of this highway. Now let's talk about the various problems faced by Hazelton during this project and the causes. During the first year, the major problem was delay in the start of the project. The causes were unavailability of housing in Maralinga. There were no Sarangan project managers assigned. There were delay in arrival of vehicles and there was inefficient budget to buy fuel and lubricants. In second year, there were many major problems. Communication gap which led to inefficient handling of the Sarangan counterpart staff. It was the reluctance of the SSG project manager to confront the local officer due to the cultural and political differences between the Hakonis and Tolanese communities. Also, it was the project manager's inability to handle the project well and letting his personal life affect his professional work. Second, insufficient budget. Money was done on an annual basis rather than for the entire project period. Loss of qualified employees. HSG was not competitive with the private company in wages and were unable to attract qualified employees. Training manager was dismissed because there was no actual training being done. Lack of accountability. Roles and responsibilities kept changing. Design engineer was given the task to administer cost and budget. And during the last year, it was the productivity of workers that declined due to Ramadan season.
Hello, I'm Saki. Now I will present the prioritization of problems and will try to handle these problems in the time management metrics. Then I will talk about the actions that we can take as a new project manager in this project case settings. Now, to organize our priorities, we decided to use Stephen Covey's time management metrics. The problems faced during the project have been inserted using these metrics, which are already presented by my colleague Ishtib, are allocated on the basis of two factors, importance and urgency. The matrix is divided into 4 quadrants, as seen on this slide. We think that communication gap between the stakeholders and establishing the requirements has their important deadlines and needs immediate action to take. That's why we defined it in the quadrant 1. According to the matrix, the second quadrant is for items that are important without requiring immediate action. Considering this, the problems such as delays in the project, inefficient handling and difficulties in training the counterpart of Soragan staff, and difficulties with the financing agency needs to be developed and handled with a particular strategy. So we address them in the second box. As the third quadrant is reserved for tasks that are urgent without being important, we inserted the problems which are caused and can be cured by the other parties in this quadrant 3. Now there are some problems which have a value but demonstrating a lower importance and urgency when compared with the others. We tackled them in the last quadrants. As the new project manager, we would focus on 2 major things: establishing project requirements through in-depth planning and managing communication between these stakeholders. These 2 things form the backbone of handling the Hazelton case. In this case, if the project manager had clearly defined the required budget and specified the job roles of both the Hazelton employees and the SHT employees, it would lead to the efficient management of the project. At the same time, establishing effective communication between the Hazelton employees, the project managers, the SHT employees, the local people, and other stakeholders is imperative to complete the project successfully.
Hi, I am Jaslani, and now I am going to talk about what we learned about preparing for a case. What did you learn about preparing for a case? This case showed how complicated a project can be. The main things that we learned in this case were: planning is essential for the development of the project. The requirements defined and clear to stakeholders and involvement is crucial. You need analyzing the risk to mitigate and identify the contingents. Customers' involvement is critical. The importance of accountability and effective communication between stakeholders is necessary. In conclusion, in order to successfully complete a project, a systematic approach covering all the areas of the project management should be followed. Project managers should realize their responsibility and accountability towards the project. And adequate planning, effective communication, and risk identification are key factors. Thank you so much.